guys, and welcome back to BS2PCG Deck Forger. So for tonight we have another great deck tech, and this time we're going to show you the Mystique Storm. And Mystique Storm, after its disastrous, very disastrous Part 1 Battlegrounds debut, it actually went on to win the championship in Part 2 of Battlegrounds. So Mystique, as you can see here, of course, is from the Femtital, and she's one of the classic Trinity main characters together with Thor and Dark Phoenix. But this time we're going to give a new formula for our Mystique, wherein we're going to let her not use her identity theft, but let her companion, of course, Hyperstorm, copy it so that you're able to come up with multiple main characters on your side of the board in any match. So imagine having two main characters on your side as against one from your opponent, and I think the only thing that can stand in her way are the Bark Brothers and of course the Outriders. But then having fun with this particular main character is so much awesome, because we after it was pulled off in last Sunday's championship match, in one of the championship match wherein we were able to put out Cable and at the same time Nebula together with Mystique to outgun the Dark Phoenix opponent. So stay with me, and before we go, of course, we'd like to ask your support. Show us some love by liking us, click on that like button, and at the same time, of course, follow us and subscribe to us here at BS2PCG Deck Forger. So this is Mystique Storm, and we are heading off to our deck teching table to show you a sample gameplay of Mystique in Mystique Storm. Okay guys, so we are right here at our deck teching table right now, and we're going to give you a sample gameplay of our Mystique Storm deck tech. So we're going to open up our dual deck box, and we're going to give you a sample goodness of how Mystique Storm actually works in an actual BS2PCG match. As you can see here, we have 4 sets of main characters for our Mystique. So we're going to bring out our level 1, and of course we have several copies of our main characters. Your alternates once your Hyperstorm and Mystique gets online, and of course you can hide that from your opponent if you like. And we're going to try to shuffle our deck so that we can give you a very good consistency of how random this particular sample gameplay will turn out to be. So let's try to work on this so as quickly as we can. And you can see here that we are trying to randomize our sample gameplay as much as possible. So going to the last final set of cards that we are about to shuffle. So we're going to try to shuffle it a little bit more. So let's try to shuffle it more. And as we go, and you can see here that of course our deck is a little bit thick. Later on, we're going to give you show you the actual thickness of this particular deck, considering that you have several main characters at your disposal with your identity theft side stacks. So let's try to shuffle this and cut it properly. So let's say 3, 1, and 2. And for this particular gameplay, we're going to try to roll the dice. Even I go first, or I pass the play along to my opponent. So even, so my choice if I'm going to go first, but then I'm going to try to look at my cards and find out if we can or we are able to get a very good gameplay. So let's try to look at this. Okay, we have one dramatic entrance, one rhino, okay, one cat fight, two sets of savage surprise, dramatic entrance again, and Unos the untouchable. Okay, so we'll try to let our opponent go first. So he plays a card, tries to attack you, then you play two savage surprise. Okay, so that you're able to put in 8 XP total for your Mystique. Then it's your turn. Try to draw a card, so you get a yellow and you get a green goblin. Okay, play your yellow, put in a rhino into play. Okay, try to attack your opponent with that particular, let's say if he was able to drop a supporting character a while ago, then if you're going after the main character, then now you can, okay, use cat fight to gain 4 more XP and thus level Mystique to level 2. So giving her a 5 attack, 10 defense stats altogether. Okay, now whether you stun him or not, okay, so what you're going to do is, of course, you're going to try to, your opponent is going to try to go to the second turn. Okay, then he'll try to attack you. If he will try to attack you, then you can play dramatic entrance and green goblin. Okay, to penalize your opponent and at the same time prevent your Mystique from getting a stun. And now you're going to your second turn and you have a rhino again and you have a blue. Okay, so for this particular instance, we're going to try to forgo any attack because you cannot actually utilize any. But if you can go for rhino, then go for rhino. So it's up to you. Okay, then your opponent will play his third turn. He will try to attack you, then that will fetch Mystique his her first wound. If they're able to overcome that very huge 10 defense, of course. Then it's your turn. Oh, so now we got a red and we got another red. Now this is where the fun begins. Okay, so now we're going to go and play Madripoor. And of course by now you know that out comes Unos the untouchable. Then try to attack with Mystique and play, of course, your Madripoor, and that will fetch her 10 attack total or 9 XP, and at the same time turn her to level 1, level 3. So, but at this point, if let's say you're able to stun all of your opponent's character, let's say she has 2 more characters in play, then you can end. Actually, you can already end the fight. Why? Because now she is level 2. You get to first, what you can do here is, of course, you can attack. Then you can attack with another. Okay. Then you can also attack with Unos, get stunned, but then again you're able to wipe out everything. But then, even before you do this, of course, Identity Theft will enable you to copy Deadpool. But again, since you lack one particular yellow and she's already out, okay, so what we're going to do right now is try to be a little bit more patient, try to protect Unos, then try to attack with just Mystique and of course Rhino, because they can survive the battle. Then your opponent will try to, of course, counter by attacking on his turn, so he's going on his 4th turn. But then again, if he's going to try to knock out either Mystique, or it's okay if it's Mystique because she has only 1 wound. But then if Rhino, then you can use dramatic entrance to survive Rhino. Same way I did, of course, what Alice did during last Sunday's event. But then going to your 4th turn, now you have your Latveria, and now you can actually end the match by using Madripoor. Use Unos to, of course, make an additional attack with him. Okay, of course, one of his opponent gets stunned or his supporting character gets KO'd. Use Rhino again, and if they're already out of course, characters in play, then you can use Mystique, pay the yellow in order to fetch Deadpool or transform her into Deadpool, and pay the other yellow for Deadpool so that you can attack them directly as a character and KO them. So that ends the game. But then again, if you are a little bit more sadistic, just kidding, okay, and you have Mystic in play, and you can still afford to, of course, play it along, okay, so just protect Unus, try to attack with Mystic, use Cat Fight. Then again, let's try to look at this. Okay, so now you can still have that Magic-Core. I think that's the one that I used a while ago. I don't know, yellow, okay. Going on the 4th turn, you now play, let's say, Training Ground or Latveria, 5th turn. Okay, try to survive it a little bit more longer. And then again, your Rhino will get KO'd, your Onus will get KO'd, your Mystic will get stunned. It's okay. But what we're really after here is to get your hands on a particular character, and that is Hyperstorm. So let's say you were able to draw in Hyperstorm. Okay. And let's say instead of a red, you were able to draw in a blue. Let's try to simulate this, okay? So now, during your 5th turn, what we're going to do now is try to, of course, play Hyperstorm, then use his supreme power in order for Hyperstorm to copy Mystique's identity theft, and at the same time play Latveria in order to come up with Cable. And in that particular instance now, Cable, okay, is one of your characters also. And since you have 2 blues in your field, then all you're going to do is set aside Cable and Mystique. Your opponent will set aside his main character, and you shuffle everything else back into, okay, your deck. And now it becomes, you time travel back to turn 1. Okay. And as you can see here by now, okay, we're going to draw 7 new cards. And this is the end of your turn. Okay, let's see. Oh, now this is good. Have another set of blue, a Latveria for you to copy, and 4 Savage Surprise. Okay, so in your turn, your opponent goes to his new turn 1. Okay, then by that time, your opponent, your cards will appear on your first turn, new first turn. Okay, then you draw 7 cards, and now you bring out your laboratory and your new Rhino. And again, your opponent may have 1 drop or none, but he has 1 main character. But the advantage here is you have 2 new characters, Cable and Mystique, and at turn 1 you drop in a Rhino, and it's a 3 against 1 fight against your opponent, and that is why this deck is so fun. Okay, so let's try to draw in 2 more cards. Let's see what will happen. And now you can put in that area and drop in Outlaw. Okay, try to go to turn 3. Okay, play in a yellow. Okay, it's either you have a good drop or none, it's okay, but still you have Cable there. You also have Mystique, okay? And your goal again is to go to turn 4 or turn 5. Okay, try to drop in that, let's say, Cat Fight. Okay, so still no more no drop. If your Rhino gets knocked out, your Outlaw gets knocked out, all you need to do is just put in that new Outlaw It's an additional character. Try to protect, let's say, Cable. It's okay with that. So it gets knocked out on your opponent's turn. And now on your 5th turn, okay, you have a new set of Latveria. And okay, by this time, it's up to you if you want to, again, go back in time with time travel with this new Hyperstorm. Or what you can do here is try to, of course, copy identity theft, so you can come up with a very nasty level 2 main character. So it's either you come up with Nebula, or you can come out, let's say, with Kid Kaiju in his Smasher form. Well, it's up to you, but for me, let's say we're going to put out Nebula. Okay, so she's a 12 attack, 12 defense, level 2 main character. So Hyperstorm gets knocked out. Okay, that's okay. Still have one more Latveria and one more laboratory, 2 copy cables. Okay, so let's try to go further to the later turns. Oh, so see, I have another Hyperstorm. So what you can do here is wait it out. Okay, try to wait it out again. Try to remove one particular card, let's say Cat Fight again. Then try to drop in Green Goblin. Okay, try to use Nebula on the back row. Try to, of course, nullify, let's say, any Dark Phoenix effect that will turn your characters to level 1. Okay, so you are now on your 6th turn. Try to hold on to it. If anybody attacks, you can still drop in that dramatic entrance. Then you got another Cat Fight and another Rhino. Okay, try to beef up your opponents. Okay, board by putting all those main huge characters. And going on your 8th drop, this is where the real fun begins. Why? Because by this time now you can drop in your Proteus. So try to drop in Proteus for your Mystique, and again she'll gain range. Okay, if you're able to spare one more turn, then try to draw in that Madripoor. Okay, and of course drop in that Hyperstorm, and again go back in time by using time travel. So now you have 3 huge main characters on your side of the board, while your opponent has only 1. And again, time travel back in time to turn 1, and that is the Mystique Storm. Okay, fabulous deck. So I really love this deck. Okay, I really love this deck. Okay, so on the next part of our video, we're going to try to give you a sample. Okay, we're going to try to show you what are the components of this Mystique Storm. So stay with us as we go over to our deck component, okay, episode. Okay. Okay guys, so now that we have seen that fabulous gameplay as we try to recreate, okay, Mystique becoming Cable, and Cable now, okay, going to use his time travel superpower to go back to the first round of your game. Then now your opponent is up against 2 particularly nasty main characters. So that is Mystique and Cable all at the same time. And once you go over towards, okay, the later part of your match, then now you'll be able to, of course, be able to come up with another main character. So it's up to you if you want to use Nebula, or if you want to use, let's say, Giant Man, in order, okay, to go up with a 3 against 1 advantage over your opponent. So now going over to the component of our Mystique Storm, let's go back to our double deck box. And as you can see here, Mystique has a particularly thick deck to begin with, and that's because, of course, besides your 4 kinds of main character, you also have your army of other main characters that Mystique and Hyperstorm can transform into. Okay, so we'll go over that in a bit, but for this time, okay, let's go over our main character. So Mystique, as you can see here, of course, Mystique, let's try to focus on her. At level 1, of course, is from the Femme Fatale, and she's a 1 attack, 6 defense character with 5 health, and she has Masquerade. So during any combat, you may pay any red power symbol to choose another face-up character, and Mystique gains attack this combat until her attack is the same as that character's. And she has Bitter Fury, so meaning her level up power is, okay, she needs at least 10 XP, so whenever Mystique gains attack, she gains that much XP. And as you can see with our sample gameplay a while ago, actually Mystique can turn level 2 outright even during the first turn. And so once she gets to level 2, actually you have 2 choices. So it's either you go for the Mystique, the original Mystique from A-Force, and this is the Mystique that is a 6 attack, 7 defense character with 5 health and with martial savagery. So martial savagery is you pay any green power symbol during any combat, and Mystique is ferocious, and enemy characters lose and can't gain ferocious this combat. It's good, but of course seldom do we get into a gameplay wherein we're going to use the original Mystique. So the one that came out from Legacy, it's the much better deal. And so this is the Mystique with an 1 attack, 10 defense character with 5 health, and besides Masquerade, she has another set of level up powers, and this is still bitter, and during this time she needs at least 9 XP. So whenever Mystique gains attack, she gains that much XP. And once you're able to gain that 9 XP, of course, then she transforms into her level 3 and final form. And that is the 5 attack, 12 defense character with 6 health. And besides Masquerade, she now gains her ultimate power, and that is Identity Theft. So during any main, okay, during your main phase, you may pay any yellow power symbol to choose a level 2 Marvel main character from outside the game, and Mystique transforms into that character. And as you can see with our sample gameplay before, in this particular Mystique Storm deck, we do not really use the Identity Theft outright, but we wait until we are able to get a Hyperstorm into play, and then Hyperstorm will copy the Identity Theft. So in return, Hyperstorm will be replaced with a level 2 main character from outside the game. And that, you have so many choices at your disposal. But as you can see with the gameplay of Hyperstorm, of course, we will follow the original strategy of Cable Storm. And so when Hyperstorm becomes Cable, then that's the time that you can either use time travel or advanced cybernetics. But then time travel makes you, of course, or lets you use any 2 blue power symbol, and at the end of the turn, set aside all main characters and any equipment and counters on them. So each player shuffles all other cards in their side, in their hand, KO pile, and even those removed from the game into their decks. Then each player draws 7 cards and use this power only once per game. Okay, so meaning Cable will now reset everything back to turn 1. But this time, of course, as you can see with our sample gameplay, we are now able to have two, okay, two main character in play instead of one. And again, you reset the clock, go back to turn 1, and once you're able to pull, of course, you're able to again put out another main character or another Hyperstorm. Then it's up to you if you want to use Deadpool to give that auto kill instantly to your opponent, or if you're up against a counter heavy opponent, then you can use Doctor Strange, or if you have some very important cards that you were forced to play into a resource, then you can put Madam Hydra into play. You can also use Spider-Man 2099, even Ant-Man, even of course Captain America, Iceman, Dark Phoenix, the Growing Giant Man, even Kang, even Invisible Woman, even Kaiju, Nebula, and so forth. So it's up to you. That's the fun of it all, okay? So again, the goal here is to be able to survive the match, try to put up as many Hyperstorm into play, and try to copy them with Mystique. But all the while, trying to avoid all those particular inhibitors coming from your opponent's, okay, side of the board. So we have so many characters we can place here. Okay, actually the possibilities are endless. But then, now that we have discussed the main characters or the main character, why don't we now look at the supporting character of Hyperstorm? Okay, so let's start with your one drop. Okay, your one drop are simply 4 copies of Rhino. And as you can see here, Rhino is being used in this deck because of course it's a very powerful or very huge stats at 5 attack and 4 defense with 1 health. And although he has solitary, he is solitary, so he cannot team attack, and his headlong charge is somehow stupid. So when Rhino attacks a character in an enemy front row, that character may sidestep. But if it does, remove it from the combat and you choose a character in their back row, and it becomes the new defender if able. So besides a very huge stats, of course, Rhino serves the purpose of the early turn copy for Mystique using her Masquerade. And again, the 5 attack is a very huge, okay, advantage for Mystique once she is able to copy it. Then going to our 2 drop, of course we have 4 copies of Outlaw. And Outlaw, of course, is from the Collector team. And Outlaw is a 7 attack, 3 defense character with 1 health and with range. Of course, he is non-lethal, so again, the same with Rhino. He's really of no use for you in the combat, because Outlaw would if Outlaw would wound an enemy defender, it doesn't get wounded instead. But then again, this is if it doesn't wound an enemy defender, but it doesn't say here if it is an attacker. Okay, so Outlaw can really attack, but he can strike back during defense. And another important keyword for Outlaw, of course, is I got sick of killing people. So at the start of your build phase, if Outlaw is equipped with a one-of-a-kind equipment, you may KO it. And if you do, characters can't attack until the start of your next turn. But then again, Outlaw is very important in this deck because of his 7. Okay, you can see that. That's 7 attack is huge enough. So together with, let's say, a Savage Surprise or with, of course, Catfight, it can readily level up, okay, Mystique in 1 turn. Okay. Then of course, what is a Mystique deck without the ever powerful Unus, the Untouchable? So you have 4 copies of Unus in this deck, And Onus, a 3 drop, is a 10 attack, 1 defense character with 1 health. And his main superpower is Repulsion Field, so during the main phase, you may pay any 1 blue and 1 green power symbol. And Onus can't be struck until the start of your next turn. But since we are not running any green in this deck, so I bet you that of course you know by now that you need Onus in this deck because of his 10 attack. And that 10 attack can readily level up Mystique from level 2 to level 3 with just 1 red power symbol. Okay, so Onus is here of course because of his high, very high stats. Okay, then for this particular deck we've decided to use 4 copies of Green Goblin, and because we need to use Green Goblin to stop the rampaging Outrider. Okay, so mostly to be comboed with Dramatic Entrance on the early turns so that you can drop in Green Goblin suddenly, and of course, okay, remove those Outriders with Blast. So Green Goblin is from the Super Villains team, and he is a 3 cost, 4 attack, 3 defense character with 1 health and with flight. And of course, as I have mentioned, Blast. So when he appears, choose an enemy row and put a -1/-1 counter on each character there. Okay, depending on your usage, but it's up to you if you would rather use Green Goblin, okay, or maybe other characters with a peer power that can help you stop, okay, any particular, okay, onslaught from greeny decks. But then Green Goblin has flight, so it can also be used to, of course, remove the likes of Mordo or even Jessica Jones to hit on her, okay, for those particularly nasty supporting characters that will be able to prevent you from playing your identity theft. Okay, then for our 4 costs, we all of course have Astra, and Astra is a very versatile supporting character. Although she's 4 costs, you can drop her even on the first turn because she is the first recruit, and you pay 3 less to recruit Astra if you haven't recruited any supporting characters this game. And besides that, she's a 5 attack, 2 defense character with range and with 1 health, but the very good trait for superpower for Astra is of course her cloning technology. And during the main phase, you may pay any yellow and red power symbol and clone an enemy supporting character. So your opponent went out with a Gilgamesh or even with a Captain Universe, then as long as you have a yellow and red location to provide you those power symbols, then Astra can clone that particular enemy supporting character. Okay, and of course the main supporting character for the deck are 4 copies of Hyperstorm, and Hyperstorm is here of course because, okay, you will use him, okay, in order to copy the identity theft and transform Hyperstorm into any of those level 2 Marvel main characters from your, okay, identity theft stacks. Okay, so your side pile consists of so many main characters at level 2, all of them Marvel, and Hyperstorm can actually copy them. So Hyperstorm is from the Frightful team, and he's a 5 cost, 5 attack, 5 defense character with 1 health and with flight and range. So he has an endless supply of energy, so Galactus loses the hunger that, okay, does not cease. But then the supreme power, Hyperstorm has all the printed superpower of face-up characters, so he's able to copy, of course, any of those particular superpowers from other characters. So of course, he can copy Mystique's identity theft, and he can also copy Cable's time travel. He can also copy Doctor Strange, mass transmutation, even the superpower of Deadpool for that ultimate one-shot kill. Okay, and if you're able to, of course, come up with time travel, it's better to have this dude tag along with your main character, so that when everything resets, Proteus is still with your main character. And Proteus at 8 cost is an Omega level mutant, And although he has 0 attack and 0 defense stats and 1 health, okay, you have to understand that okay, his possession will enable you to provide you with reality warping, and Proteus gives its host a plus 10 attack, plus 10 defense advantage, and with range, and has a superpower wherein during the main phase, you may pay any blue power symbol and heal a wound from that character. So I put in or inserted in 2 copies of Proteus because like what happened last Sunday, Proteus actually was attached to Mystique, and when of course Cable time traveled, okay, so it snatched for or set aside Mystique and Cable together with the Proteus on Mystique, and of course it spelled a lot of trouble during the championship round. Okay, so now that we have discussed our supporting character, actually we have 2 equipment on this deck, and these are the Eye of Agamotto and the Nullifier. So why do we have equipment on this deck? Because of course sometimes we need to stall your opponent, and putting this on outlaw can actually, if he's able to survive 1 round, then you're able to stall your opponent by canceling all combat phase during that particular turn. And of course, Eye of Agamotto is a 1 cost equipment. It's one of a kind, and you can only equip this to a good character, and he has the Eye of Truth, so any players play with their hands revealed. And at the same time, of course, Nullifier always comes in handy, and at 2 cost, it's a one of a kind equipment, and it has ultimate nullification. So when the Nullifier appears, name a keyword or superpower, and enemy characters lose and can't gain that power until the Nullifier leaves play. So for 1 copy of those equipment each. And now let's look at the plot twist. So for our plot twist, first we have 4 copies of Catfight, very staple because this is a femme fatale plot twist. So during any combat, choose an attacker to get a plus 4 attack, plus 0 defense this combat. So normally reserved for mystics. Okay, level up abilities. And of course, we have also 4 copies of Savage Surprise. And this generic plot twist, okay, will enable your character during any combat, or defender to be exact, and choose a defender to get a plus 4 attack, plus 0 defense this combat. And again, normally reserved for Mystic. And of course, the main high plot twist of your deck are 4 copies of Dramatic Entrance. And Dramatic Entrance is one of the very powerful defensive plot twists. So during any combat, if the defender is on your side, you may put a character from your hand next to it. If you do, remove the defender from combat, and the new defender becomes the defender. A new character becomes the defender. And at the end of the combat, KO the new character. So very powerful enough. So sometimes I try to replace Green Goblin with Ajax. It can be a good combo also, but then again, it's up to you on how you would like it to happen. Okay, so going to the last part of our deck, of course, we go to the locations. So for this particular deck, we have 20 sets of location. 5 sets of location, 20 in all. So first we have 4 copies of Training Ground, and of course Training Ground is used for the Mystics Masquerade. And of course later on, if you have other main characters with a requirement on red superpower, then Training Ground can come in handy. Then you have also 4 copies of Academy, and Academy is very important in this deck, of course, because you can use Academy for Mystics identity theft, and if Hyperion is available, then you can use also the basic yellow location for his supreme power to copy identity theft. And you can also use the combination of Academy and Training Ground for Astra's cloning technology. And we are also heavy on our blues, so we have 4 copies of Laboratory, and Laboratory of course is used for, okay, the first strategy of the deck, and that is to time travel using cable. And of course, once that you're able to copy Hyperstorm Supreme Power, copy time travel again, then you need to use those blue in order to power up your next time travel. And for our first special location, we have 4 copies of Latveria, and Latveria, as you can by now, you know, is reserved for Hyperstorm. Okay, so that you're able to pay any red, yellow, or blue for Hyperstorm Supreme Power once he's about to copy Identity Theft, or even Time Travel, or even Cloning Technology. And finally, you have 4 copies of Madripoor, and this special location reserved for the Femme Fatale is actually used for Mystique's ever handy, of course, Masquerade, and even her Identity Theft. Okay, so by now you know that these are all the deck components for our fabulous Mystique Storm. And hopefully you have learned a lot from this particular video, and we really would like to thank you for all the love and support. And so don't forget to follow us, like us, and subscribe to us, okay, in this channel, the VS2PCG Deck Forger. So before we go, guys, of course we would like to thank all our friends from the BS2PCG Collective, and we also like to thank our friends from Wheelface USA, and of course they are the official sponsor for our Wheelface League Philippines, okay, our online tournament here in Manila. And for our corporate sponsors, of course, we'd like to thank our friends from Virtual Mall Philippines, okay, the online shopping mall app, and you can now download Virtual Mall Philippines at the Google Play Store, or you can, okay, visit us at www.vmphilippines.com. And of course, we also like to thank Ecosphere. So if you want to get your hands on a very compact, very reliable water purifying device that can fit right into your kitchen sink, then don't forget to use, okay, or to try Ecosphere. So you can visit Newlen, try to contact Newlen, that's N-U space L-E-N, at her official Facebook page, and Newlen will provide you with the quotation for our, okay, Ecosphere. And of course, I'd like to thank all our official, okay, venues. So we have Ford Chubby Place, and Ford Chubby Place is located at 0070 Naga Road in Polanlupa 2, okay, Las Piñas City, Philippines. And we also have another venue, and that is PM Apartments, and PM Apartments is located at number 24 Matalino Street in Diliman, Quezon City, Philippines. And guys, watch out for our third venue, and that will be in Araneta Square in Monumento, Caloocan City, Philippines. And by August, we will have our fourth Chubby Place, North Point. And of course, from there, we will have our card and box hobbies, okay, North Point. So we already have 3 venues here in Manila, and BS2PCG is growing steadily as we move along through, okay, the lead. Okay, and thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. And once again, this is Mystique Storm, and before you head off into the storm, make sure that you are adequately equipped, okay, to, okay, fight your opponent. And that is how Mystique Storm works in this particular BS2PCG league. So thank you very much for watching this video, and okay, have a good night, guys.